Hello everybody and welcome to today's Chrissy B Show. Now on this program we regularly have decluttering and organisational tips with our expert Sally Walford, and there's a good reason for that, because keeping your environment clutter-free is great for your mental health and well-being. And according to Psychology Today, here are 6 benefits of decluttering. The first one is that decluttering creates a sense of confidence and self-efficacy. And they say this is because it uses your decision-making and problem-solving skills. So for example, you've got Y amount of space and X amount of stuff. To make everything fit, you need to make reasonably quick decisions about whether to keep or discard items and where to put them. Let's have a look at the second point. Decluttering is energizing. So when you make a series of quick decisions and therefore solve quite a few problems, you put yourself into getting things done mode, and this can actually lead you to feel energized enough to start ticking off other things on your to-do list as well. Number 3, cleaning and organizing actually reduce anxiety. So when things feel out of order, it can make us feel quite scattered and kind of anxious, and creating order actually does tend to relieve that anxiety. Number 4, decluttering allows mind wandering and sometimes involves physical activity. So for example, if you've been concentrating on hard kind of work at your job or maybe somewhere else, giving your mind the chance to actually wander can help you generate further insights into whatever it was you were working on. And also physical activity can actually help to supercharge this. So organising that involves some physical component like moving heavy items around can also create ideal conditions for having light bulb moments and other leaps of insight as well. Let's take a look at the 5th one. Decluttering can reduce relationship and family tension. So clutter can, as we know, create some stress in the home. So you might end up arguing about the mess with your partner or find yourself snapping at your children. But if you spent maybe 10 minutes looking for something, for example, and now you're running late, it does actually cause some stress. So decluttering can actually reduce the stress in the home. And number 6, when you declutter, you often find lost treasures. Now, this particular thing I remember happened in my own home. I remember doing some decluttering with my mum when I was a child, and she had this teapot. She happened to look inside and there was £200 in there that she'd completely actually forgotten about. And £200 back then was quite a lot of money, so that was a nice find. And actually you'll see that maybe when you do start sort of finding these hidden treasures, it gives you more energy for tackling bigger things as well. So there you go, 6 benefits, and there are lots more as well, 6 benefits of decluttering. So with all of this in mind, we're going to show you the first of our Sal Sorts It series, where Sally will be decluttering and organising a bedroom. And since we're covering decluttering on this episode, we also thought we should talk about hoarding. So why does this happen and how can this be dealt with? So our resident psychologist, Dr Audrey Tang, will be giving us her input and advice. Also on today's show, we go to Hannah Richards' kitchen for a healthy and nutritious recipe, which is coconut mushroom soba noodles. Helena Chard is back for this week's A Helping of Happy, and Dr Hicks will be answering your medical questions. Then it's back to Dr Audrey Tang, who is joined by her dog Brandy for this week's Test the Trend, and this time they'll be looking at Staycations, visiting the charming Chester. And finally, our beauty expert Sally Song will be giving us some tips on autumn skincare. So let's get straight to our new series, Sal Sorts It, and here she declutters and organises a bedroom.
So today I'm very excited. I'm going to be meeting a lovely lady called Larissa, and I'm going to be helping her declutter and reorganise her home. Can't wait. Okay, let's go. Hi Larissa, how are you? Good to see you again, lovely.
Good, great.
Are we ready to do this?
A lot of work to do now.
I know. Come on, let's do it. After you, yeah. Well, here I am in Larissa's room. I'm so excited and I can't wait to transform this room. We've been out and we've done some shopping and we've got some great organisational boxes and things like that. But before we start to do any of that, we need to do some decluttering. So I have a blue bin bag. And this is going to be for all the recycling. There we go, pop that there. Then I've got a green bin bag. This one is going to be for any donations. And then we've got the grey one, which is going to be for the stuff that we keep. If you're going to be doing small knick-knacky things and jewellery, etc., I wouldn't open the bin bag. I just like to lay it on the bed so that we can organise the bits and bobs that we're going to be keeping, and it's not going to get entangled, so it's easy to organise when we're going to put them back. So Larissa, let's get going with some decluttering.
Oh my God, where do you think we can start?
Now, this is always a question that my clients ask me, so I'm just going to bite the bullet and I'm going to say, what's in this drawer? Let's have a look in there.
Oh my God, I'm so scared to show you. Look at these. Much of the stuff here needs to go to the bin.
Well, let me tell you something. Honestly, you are not on your own. I can assure you that I see this all the time. It's easy just to shove things in a drawer and close the drawer. But don't worry, what you've done is we're going to tackle it and we're going to go through all this stuff, and you're going to keep everything that you really need, and we're just going to let go of everything else that you haven't used for about 4 years. One of the easiest things I think that we can start with is getting rid of the rubbish. So we can pop them, we can pop those in the blue bag. There we go, so let's get rid of some of these. And then you said as well that some of these bits you haven't used for, quite a while, and some of these must be out of date. So let's get rid of those as well. What about this hairdryer?
No, I need to keep.
You need to keep, it's the only one.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm just going to put that on top of the grey bag. That's a keeper. And how about this charger?
Oh no, I needed this charger.
Yes. So what tends to happen is that chargers, because we all have quite a lot of them, don't we? So they tend to all be dotted about the home. So we need to make sure that if we find any more of these or any of the same objects, we're going to put them together, so then we can find a place for that particular item. So that's a keeper, back on the grey. Let's have a look at this collection.
Oh.
So, as you can see,
I don't use any of these.
and then this is empty, so let's pop this one back in the recycling. And again, the same. Now, I've got a really good idea for these.
Really?
So they're actually great if you put them in your underwear drawers. They act as fresheners for the drawers. So you're actually upcycling and recycling these until all the perfume's gone, and then we can get rid of them. So we're going to put those to one side. Here we go, comb.
I found.
So here we have quite a common thing that you find in people's homes is books, and a lot of them, because not very many people are completely Kindle friendly or device friendly, and it's about keeping in control of them. So, for example, if you have duplicates, you might have one of these in your lounge, or you might have one of these in a different room. So duplicates, that's the first place to start. So the other good thing I like to do with books is to donate, or even like in your community. So I don't know if you have a bookshelf in your local train station, community care centre, or something like that. We can really sort of like reuse these and donate to good causes, I think.
No, it's a good idea. I have a bookshelf in mental health station.
Oh, brilliant.
So
there you go.
I really need to give loads of books away.
Exactly. So, and we're reducing the amount then.
For example,
this one.
I did not know that I had this one, Elvis Presley.
You didn't even know you had it. My goodness me. So which pile are we going to put that one on then?
In the grey bag, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Larissa, we're going to take any objects that shouldn't be on the bookshelf, and we're going to find places for them somewhere else, okay? How about this book then?
I want to give away.
Great, so yeah, pop that. Here we go.
I want to keep these.
Here we are.
I want to give these away. I will keep these. I will keep these.
I must say you're making great decisions as well.
Yeah.
And also, if you're umming and ahhing over something, let's pop it in a maybe pile and then we'll revisit it. Because, again, don't beat yourself up if you think you're keeping on to too many, but I think you're doing a great job. So keep going. So here we have the lovely things that we're going to put in your room and help to organise. So I've created you a brand new kind of colour scheme, as well as keeping those nice bits of colour that you like. So I just wanted to bring all of that together and also give you that calm feeling where you can sleep in a really restful, peaceful place. And also we've got lots of baskets and things to organise inside drawers. These come in all different shapes and sizes, so we can segment each bit off, and therefore we're creating a place for everything. We've created this new space, a clear surface, my goodness. So, and I know that essential oils and things like that are very important to you. Now we can utilise these in the place where they should be. So creating your luxury 5-star feeling as well. So let's just pop these down. So again, this is about being kind to yourself again, because we've let go of the old stuff. And now you're bringing all these lovely things that make you happy into this room. And already I feel, I don't know about you, and just even knowing that this is all organised as well, it's just, yay!
I'm already feeling relaxed.
Well, here we are, the final result for Larissa. I'm so excited for her to see it. But first I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I thought of this particular room. When I first came in, there were pockets of clutter that had just become dumping grounds. For example, the study area, the drawers. So just taking back that control is going to make getting up in the morning so much easier, because you're going to be able to find stuff, and that really helps you when you're in a rush. The other thing was that I felt that Larissa is such a colourful person, and that was kind of like a bit mismatched in here, and I felt that in a bedroom we can bring that colour in, bring that lively character that she has, but also underlining with a little bit of relaxation and creating a haven. And Larissa's been so helpful and has decluttered incredibly that we've managed to achieve this. So let's call her in, Larissa. Ta-da!
Wow!
Do you love it?
I loved the colors, and it's so much more bright than before.
You feel all that clutter's gone as well, so that makes it feel like it's lighter, you know,
it's
let
lighter,
go and brighter. So now everything's got a place. Nothing's going to get over cluttered again, and it's going to be nice and calm.
Yes, I love the organisation here.
This is going to help you, isn't it, with your busy life, getting up in the morning.
I can find everything
quick.
And it's not so much, and the rubber's gone.
Yeah. And you had these around the home, so we've upcycled, or recycled actually, and changed it up. And you can actually use these now, whereas before they were just at the back of a cupboard.
Yeah, I was always repeating to Brian, we have to throw things away. It's too much, but I didn't know how to start.
Exactly, overwhelmed by the amount of stuff. So, so Sal Sorts It. Sal sorted it for you.
Yay, thank you very much again. Yeah.
So there you have it. Larissa has just shown us how excited she was and the benefits of decluttering your bedroom and also changing up the fabrics, changing up the feeling and getting rid of all the old stuff to allow new calming stuff into her relaxing room. It's often really difficult to know where to start, and a lot of people feel overwhelmed where to start with decluttering. So don't be afraid to ask for help, because help is always out there. So happy decluttering.
Thank you very much to Sally and to Larissa there. So since we've covered decluttering on this episode, we also thought it was very important that we should talk about hoarding. So why does hoarding happen and how can this be dealt with? After the break, our resident psychologist, Dr Audrey Tang, will be giving us her input and advice. And we also go to Hannah Richard's kitchen for a healthy and nutritious recipe. People to think they have to learn to live with depression. I know there's a permanent cure, and I know sometimes many people hear that, you can manage depression or learn to live with it, and that's something that I totally disagree with, because depression is such a horrible thing to experience and to live with on a day-to-day basis, because I've been there and I know. But I also know that there is a solution, a permanent solution.
Depression has always been something, people say it's incurable. Once you get depressed, you'll never be free of it. But it's not true. You don't have to manage it. You can get rid of it, and that's why it's payback time.
Obviously, I'm taking a couple of these books today, 2 signed copies, in order to give it to some relatives of mine.
I know that this book will progress. Yeah, it's about time. It's about time. It steals too much time from people's lives. Yeah, it's about time.
Welcome back to today's Chrissy B Show, where our main theme has been decluttering. And since we are talking about that subject, we thought it was really important that we should also discuss hoarding, because sometimes the two are linked. And we have on our show today Dr Audrey Tang, who is our resident psychologist. Welcome to the show, Audrey.
Thanks for having me, Chrissy.
So why do people hoard?
Hoarding falls within the obsessive compulsive behaviours, so it's often a need to actually keep things around them. Now, it can start because of a loss. So, for example, it might be a loss of a relationship through divorce, through passing away, and wanting to keep keepsakes of that person as a reminder. Yeah. It can also sometimes be another symptom of empty nest, where the children have gone away, so you want to keep what's sentimental and hold it around you. Now, hoarding doesn't become a problem until it interferes with how you're able to live, which means that if everything that you're keeping is cluttering the house so much that you actually can't walk down the stairs safely, or you can't sleep comfortably in a bed, then that's a problem. But it's also problematic if it affects how your family and your friends can interact with you. So in other words, if it's causing them distress because they're saying to you, look, there's so much stuff here, we really need you to do something about it, and that becomes a common conversation, then there is more of an issue. It can, however, sometimes start as collecting. So rather than needing to hold things around you because maybe you feel safer that way, or maybe it reminds you of someone, it can just start as a simple collection. And then sometimes people give you more things, and then it almost becomes a focus on having more and more of that particular thing. But it does tend to be much more triggered by loss rather than a collection gone awry.
Okay. And what kind of help is available out there? Because obviously we saw the lovely Sally doing lots of decluttering and stuff, which is fine, but if it's a hoarding issue, it's a lot deeper.
Actually, decluttering is a good way to start. The reason for that is you get to keep a lot of the things, you just organise it. a bit better. So that's one thing. Because the sad part is, if a family has become very frustrated with the fact that maybe you can't walk down the stairs, maybe you can't actually move in a room because there's so much stuff, there can be a tendency for there to be more arguments because of it. And sometimes a family might just say, right, that's it, I'm going to come in and I'm going to clear everything. And that can add to the problem. So whilst I know it's really tempting, if the hoarding has started because of some kind of breakdown in a relationship, because that person has now become attached to their things rather than having the people around them, you going in and with the best will in the world trying to help, clearing everything out.
Make matters worse, wouldn't it?
It does, because it means that person stops trusting you as well. And now they may not want to leave the house in case you go and throw everything else out. Or they might react by collecting even more stuff and it getting worse later on. So things you can do is raise the fact that this may be an issue gently, agree to accompany them to seek help. Maybe go together to go to a GP, go to a cognitive behavioural therapist, even go to an organiser together and see what you can do together, because simply the act of actually working with that family member might build that relationship again, in which case the love that's been put onto the objects, because that person may be missing someone or missing people or missing whatever it is, that love on the object can be transferred back to the relationship, and that's really important as well. Sometimes explaining to the person who's hoarding the effect it is actually having on perhaps grandchildren or other people around them, so they begin to see that it's not just about them, that there's consequences, because often when people hoard they might say, oh, it doesn't matter, I can sleep like that, I'm fine. But actually,
a lot of people can't, right?
If they realise that maybe the grandchild can't come and visit because it's dangerous, or the child, the daughter or son can't invite people over because there's nowhere for them to stay, then they might begin to think, well, maybe if I am having an impact so negatively on someone else's life, I might be able to change things. But largely it is about rebuilding the relationship that may have been broken, which caused the hoarding in the first place, rather than curing the hoarding itself, because it often goes a lot deeper.
You have to go to the root, don't you? So just going to, even if you like, I'll talk about it in my tips later, even if you do clear a space and it's all done, if you haven't dealt with the root cause, it's just going to come back again.
Exactly, and with hoarding, the irony is it tends to be the root cause is a breakdown of relationship, which has led to the affection being transferred to the objects, but of course the relationship worsens because the other person can see that you're attached to the objects. So it needs to be treated gently.
Thank you so much, my love, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you. Okay, everybody, so now it's nutrition time as we go to Hannah Richards' kitchen making coconut mushroom soba noodles. Yum, yum.
Hello and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. My name's Hannah and today we're going to make mushroom pasta. Now it sounds very simple, but we've just got a few twists. So the first thing we're going to use is a buckwheat soba noodle, which is basically a gluten-free noodle. It comes in packs like this, so you know how many portions to use. We're going to use some white button mushrooms. You can use any type of mushrooms that you have, but these are quite nice and easy. You can get them in all your grocers and your supermarkets. And then we're going to use some coconut milk. So I'm not going to use any dairy and I'm not going to use any gluten. Okay, so first of all, we're just going to chop down a red onion. Peel off the outer skin and chop as thinly as you can manage. And I'm just going to use a little bit of olive oil. You can use coconut oil. You could use ghee. You could use butter if you can have dairy. I'm going to add a little bit of sea salt. I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper. This is nice and cracked. I'm going to use some fresh rosemary. Just pick off the buds off the end. It can be quite rough. Make sure it's really fresh. And then I'm gonna add, once I can feel that heat of the oil, add my red onions. And once I start seeing that water start to bubble, I'm gonna add in the buckwheat pasta. Okay, there it goes, starts to oil, so we're just going to add it in, and it should very quickly start being able to go down. So your noodles are going to take about 5 minutes, but keep an eye on them because you don't want them soggy. You want them a little al dente so that when they start to be added to the mushrooms and the hot onions, they're still going to have a bit of heat going through them. So then take your mushrooms. I've got some button mushrooms. These are really easy, and sometimes people don't like mushrooms, and so this is a really easy entry into a mushroom dish, white button mushrooms. So I'm just going to chop them. I've given them a wash, so I don't need to peel them or tail them. You can if you want. You could put them in a blender and really dice them down, but I'm just going to literally give them a bit of a chop like this. So with the red onions, you can now see that they're sort of being sweated down, and I can really smell the rosemary coming through. There we go. Make sure the mushrooms get a nice coating of olive oil and rosemary and onion, and you can start to see the colour change, and then you can leave them for a bit. So after about 5-7 minutes of the mushrooms getting a nice coating, I'm going to start to add the coconut milk. And this just gives, it sort of provides the sauce to the dish and gives it a bit of liquid, but it doesn't overpower the dish. I'm just going to add it bit by bit because we want to sweat the mushrooms out again a little bit more. So my noodles are now ready, so I'm going to turn off the heat and I'm going to strain them. So now they're all strained. I'm just going to put a little bit of seasoning through them and a little bit of oil so they don't start sticking. Bit of black pepper, a dazzle of olive oil, and give them a stir. Brilliant. And then they will be ready to add to the mushrooms. So turn your mushrooms off. And this can be a sharing dish, so you can just make a whole load of it and then just put the mushrooms and the onions on top like that. See the coconut going through. And then I'm just going to top it off with a little bit more fresh rosemary for a little bit of colour and garnish. I'm gonna add a little bit of mint again, just for a little bit of garnish on top. Sprinkle with some seeds. And there you have midweek mushroom pasta.
Thank you very much to Hannah there. So after the break, Helena Chard is back for this week's A Helping of Happy, and Dr Hicks will be answering your medical questions, including this one. If I suspect that my child has a mental health issue, do I take her to my local GP or go straight to a mental health specialist? Find out the answer after this break. Welcome back, everyone, and now it's time for A Helping of Happy with the lovely Helena Chard, who's here to bring us positive news.
Positive news, inspirational news. Beginning with a young lady called Hannah. She was very worried about her clutter. She'd stopped inviting friends home, lots of various things, and even was crawling on top of bags, on top of her bed, and there was no space on the floor, various things. But she's very, very thankful to a breakthrough hoarding course, which actually was something that Mind put on. It was like a pilot course.
Okay.
Yeah. She felt so ashamed and embarrassed. She just had no idea how it got so out of control. But what she did know is that her mother was a hoarder. So she was brought up in the same way. And she was thinking about how she was so embarrassed when she was younger, because obviously she couldn't bring children, her friends home. Yeah. And it just she just suddenly realised she had to do something about it for her children more, because she didn't want the same thing for them. Yeah. And she realised her house was actually worse than her childhood home. So winding forward 3 months, she's done incredibly well. She had a decluttering buddy, I think it is, that came and helped her.
That's nice.
And she just, because she wanted the best for her children, she's done incredibly well. So she feels lighter, happier, and the best thing is that her children have recently had friends over.
Oh, that's
so that's
lovely.
the best.
That's the achievement, isn't it?
That's it, and that's the best thing ever. So she's sharing her, obviously I'm sharing it as well, but she's sharing her journey to decluttering, and she wants to raise awareness and just wants people to accept help, because it really, really works, and she's so happy. So it's sweet, isn't it? It's simple, but really, really fun. And now moving on to something a little bit, this is just a little quickie. A little penguin had an epic journey.
I love that animal ones.
Well, I know, they're really my favourite too. I love it. Swam 1,500 miles from New Zealand to Australia all on its own. It's very unusual, but it kept going. I don't know, I couldn't speak to it. But anyway, it's a Fiordland penguin, and it was actually rescued by Melbourne Zoo and nursed back to health. I mean, he was in a pretty bad way, as you can imagine, all that way.
Poor thing.
And once it's back on its feet, it was taken to the nearby beach and released into the wild. So it was a happy ending for our little Fiordland penguin. Yay!
Lovely.
Love that.
Hall of Fame?
Yeah, absolutely. Hall of Happiness.
Yeah, Hall of Happiness, sorry.
Hall of Happiness. Definitely, that one has to go in.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Helena, my darling. We'll see you again next time.
Thank you.
Well, now, everyone, it's actually time to go over to Dr. Rob Hicks, who'll be answering all of your medical questions. Lovely to have you back on the show, Rob.
Always lovely to be here, Chris. Yeah.
So I've got a couple of questions for you. Ready?
Thank you very much.
So the one we had before the break. If I suspect that my child has a mental health issue, do I take her to my local GP or go straight to a mental health specialist?
That's a really good question, isn't it? The fact that it's being asked speaks volumes about the fact that people are now more aware of mental health problems, particularly in children. The simple answer is, if you're here in the UK, then go along to your GP, because that's where you would go if you're using the NHS, the National Health Service. If you are thinking about going privately, then you can consider going to see a mental health specialist as the first port of call. But I think what's very good that you've done is the reality is that around about 1 in 10 children and young people have a mental health problem here in the UK, and that might be depression, anxiety, conduct disorders, all sorts of different things. And so it is actually relatively common. And I'm so glad you asked the question, because many people still feel there's a stigma around mental health, and there shouldn't be. If you have any sort of suspicion that you or one of your children may be suffering a mental health problem, it's very, very important to get it diagnosed, and so it can be treated properly. So thank you for asking the question. And in the meantime, the sort of things you can do to help your children maintain good mental health and well-being, obviously, is encourage them to have a healthy diet, do lots of exercise, get enough rest and relaxation and sleep. Give them lots of playtime, so that can be indoors and outdoors. It's very important that the child feels supported at home by their family and also at school by their teachers. And get them involved in the local activities that are designed for children and young people. It might be a youth club, it might be sports, it might be hobbies and things. So those are all good ways of building their emotional well-being. But as I said earlier on, if you're concerned at all, don't be shy to ask your GP, or if you're going to go privately, a mental health specialist for advice. It's much better to identify a problem early. Then you get the right treatment if it's necessary.
Okay, next question, Rob. Why does my throat go dry and clammy every time I eat pineapple? That happens to me with Sharon fruit sometimes, the khaki fruit.
Yes. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I've not been asked that one before. Off the top of my head, the first thing that springs to mind is, could these be symptoms of an allergy? So are you allergic to something within the pineapple? So if you were my patient, I'd be asking you, do you already have some allergies? Because if you have one, then anybody who's got an allergy is more likely to a greater risk of having another one. Are you getting other symptoms, any sort of sweating, problems with rashes, for example, itching of the skin, that sort of thing. So it could be an allergy. It might be that you're actually, there's an enzyme in pineapple called bromelain. This is the enzyme that's often used to tenderize meat, but that can also irritate parts of the body. So maybe it's that enzyme that's causing irritation for you. What I would do is, if this is troubling you, particularly if you're getting symptoms where you feel you can't swallow or it might be affecting your breathing, then certainly get yourself checked out by your doctor. It might be that your doctor refers you to have allergy tests to confirm whether you are allergic to the pineapple or something within it. Or it might be something totally different. It might be actually that you get these symptoms when you're anxious, and maybe there's a coincidence that you're turning into something like pineapple, a favourite fruit, as a sort of comfort food, and you're making the association
that it's the pineapple.
And actually it's because you're under pressure and you're feeling stressed and anxious. But I think it wouldn't do any harm to get yourself checked out. The other thing to think about is, if you're on any regular medication, just have a look at the side effects to see again whether it's a coincidence that actually it could be the medication that's causing this symptom rather than the pineapple.
Very true. Rob, thank you so much.
My pleasure as always.
And we shall see you again next week.
Yes, you will.
Well, everyone, after the break, it's back to Dr. Audrey Tang, who's joined by her lovely little dog, Brandy, for this week's Test the Trend. And this time, they'll be looking at the benefits of staycations, visiting the charming Chester. And our beauty expert, Sally Sorts It, will be giving us some tips on autumn skincare. Welcome back to today's episode of The Chrissy B Show. So now it's time for Test the Trend, where Audrey and her dog Brandy go for a staycation.
We're going away on a staycation, which is staying in the UK but still having a holiday. And we're going to a dog-friendly place in Chester where we're visiting some friends. And packing for a dog-friendly holiday can be just as difficult as packing with children. We've got all of her stuff in this little bag here, as well as a special dog harness so she can travel safely in the car. See you en route. Stopped off at a lovely place in Market Drayton, where Brandy had a chance to not only sit in the bar, but they filled up her bowl with some water, and we've all had a good rest and we're ready to make way for the rest of our journey. Fabulous about Chester is you can see behind me there's a lot of cobbled streets, and a lot of the Roman architecture and the architecture through the histories has been preserved and restored, which means that you can have some beautiful quaint little tea shops or restaurants which are built into the old city. It's also a walled city, so you do have the Roman walls that you can walk around. There is a weir, there is a fantastic park and lots of communal spaces which you can use to congregate and meet up with friends. This has been a really lovely stay. It's a gorgeous hotel in the middle of Chester. And we were very lucky because there is a festival that's been moved to this weekend, and had we tried to book tonight, it would have been at least 2.5 times the price, so we got really lucky. Now this hotel is very dog friendly, which means the dog is allowed in some areas of the hotel and is allowed in your bedroom. And we did have to pay a little bit extra, but that's quite normal, and of course she's a very well behaved dog. What's also nice is literally, as we just went down the road, there's somewhere to walk the dog, and that's quite unusual for a town centre. Sometimes you're walking for ages to find somewhere. And later, I'm going to go around the town and explore. I wanted to carry on filming outside, but unfortunately what's happened is it started to rain, which is understandably why people do sometimes choose to go away, because they can actually predict the weather to some extent. But that doesn't stop me from appreciating how wonderful Chester is. Not only is it historical and it preserves and restores its history, but it is also hugely progressive and forward-thinking. It has already banned the use of single-use plastics in the town, and also Chester Zoo is massive in pioneering the use of sustainable palm oil. Not only that, but they've just planted super trees, and what this is very similar to Singapore's botanical gardens. These trees form the focal point of a community space just by the bus station, which people can enjoy when the weather's a little bit nicer. And it's a lovely place for wildlife, but also the theatre is a fantastic multi-purpose building. Not only is it used as a theatre, but it can be used as a cinema, as a restaurant, as a place for people to just do community events, and it's also a library. And because it's part of the theatre, it's one of the longest opening hours libraries around. We've had a fantastic time away. The thing that I've learned about Staycations is why not optimise your time? Not only did we visit somewhere that we hadn't been for a very long time, but we spent it with people that we loved. So we were able to not only learn a lot about the city that they were so passionate about, but we got to have that quality time with people we don't often get to see. Bye for now.
Thank you very much to Audrey and to Brandy there. So as we've seen, the weather has changed quite a bit, so it's very important that we do look after our skin. So here's our beauty expert, Sally Sorts It, with some autumn skincare tips.
Hi everyone, my name is Sally and I am the resident makeup artist and beauty expert here at the Chrissy B Show. Now today I want to talk to you about autumnal skincare and how to change your regime when it comes from like those end of summer warm days and now it's starting to get colder, there's already been a couple of storms and your skin reacts to all of this. The first thing you want to do is really revisit your regime. Look at what you're using for your cleanser, your toner, your moisturizer, and you don't necessarily need to change all of them. My best advice is basically begging for some samples. So I love to go to stores. Necessarily, not all brands will give you them outright, but if you ask for them, most counters at department stores will give you testers. Now these are kind of normal size little testers. I do love them, but if you're really nice to them, they give you bigger ones. Most brands also have like the luxury size samples. And that way you can try out a few different things before you commit to buying new products for the new season. Moisture for me is the most important thing. So for example, during the summer, I wear more of a lotion. My skin is normal to combination. So what I wear on my skin on a daily basis is quite light and sinks in easily. For myself, I tend to either switch to a thicker cream, so kind of like a cream that's in a pot, or sometimes what I do is I mix an oil in with my lotion. So this serves two different purposes. One, it makes my daytime moisturizer a lot more luxurious and more moisturizing, but then at night I can use the oil by itself as like a really deep moisturizing treatment, especially if it's been a really, really cold day or if it's blustery and windy, your skin kind of takes a beating, so it's a good idea. Also, I do tend to amp up the self-care during these months. We tend to be inside more and, you know, cozy up more. So I do a lot more masking. And also what I've recently taken into my skincare regime is this little guy. Now it looks scary. This is a face massager, but I do this while I watch TV. And I'm gonna show you this and please don't turn off your sets. It looks crazy, but basically it massages your skin. So when you put anything like an oil on and then you use the massager after, it really works it into the skin and it kind of relaxes, especially people that tend to get stressed out. A lot of people hold a lot of tension here in the jawline. So it's really good at kind of ironing out those things. Now, another thing, and I don't have any tan left from the summer, but a lot of people have like the remnants of tan left in the autumn. And a good idea is to exfoliate your skin a little bit more. Either use a this is a manual exfoliator, so it has grains in it, or you can use a chemical exfoliator, which is more, I would say, like fruit acids, BHAs or AHAs, and that exfoliates the top layer of your skin off. So you get rid of that like last remaining bits of tan that can look maybe a little bit blotchy and not so great anymore. And with some people, the remnants of a tan tend to almost go a little bit olive, which is never what you want. Also, this is the time to introduce a retinol product to your regime. Retinol is an amazing anti-aging product, but it does react to the sun. So if you're using it during the summer, you have to be really, really conscientious with your sunscreen usage. Whereas in the winter, obviously you still have to wear a sunscreen, but because the sun is not nearly as bright, you kind of can get away with a little bit more. With retinol, I would still use a 30 or even a 50 during daytime, especially if it's a sunny day. And last but not least, I don't know about you, but the dark mornings make it really difficult for me to get started and kind of get going. A cup of coffee helps, but another thing that I love to do, like on dark mornings, especially when I need to look awake and if I have an important meeting in the morning, is under eye patches. Now, because I'm already wearing makeup, I'm not going to put these on right now. You probably would have seen them all around online, but they're little gel patches that you kind of glue on your skin, and I keep mine on while I brush my teeth, floss, do things like that. So maybe 5 minutes altogether. And then when I'm ready to do my makeup, I just take them off and I look a lot more awake than I would do otherwise. We'd love to hear your autumn tips. So do get in touch on social media and on the Chrissy B Show Instagram as well, and let me know what your best tips are. That would be amazing. And until next time, bye.
Thank you very much to Sally and to all my guests on today's program. So one of the main things that we talked about today was decluttering, and there are many reasons why maybe people don't like to declutter. It could be that it's just not priority for them. They prefer to do other things with their time. It could be that they're very, very busy. They'd like to declutter, but there doesn't seem to be much time, and maybe, you know, there's kids involved, and maybe they do try to declutter and then the kids mess everything up and stuff like that. So there are lots of different reasons. However, I'd like to talk about one that relates to mental health. Now, when I was depressed, I found cleaning or any sort of organising a real battle. To be honest, sometimes it was a big effort just to take a shower in the morning. I lacked energy. I couldn't. It seemed just too much of a challenge for me. So I remember my mum always complaining about the state of my bedroom, and, you know, not helping around in the house much, or she'd have to really push me to even help to clean. And at the time, this kind of looked like I was just lazy, like I just couldn't be bothered, I didn't want to help. But actually it wasn't that. It was because I really couldn't bring myself to sort of have enough energy to do those kind of things. Everything was a struggle. Literally everything that I would do was a big struggle for me. However, nowadays, since I got help for depression, since I've recovered completely, I love cleaning, I love organising. Decluttering is like a hobby for me. I kind of look for things to declutter. I like everything in its place, everything in order. I like helping other people to do this as well. So it wasn't that I wasn't the kind of person that, you know, would like to be clean and tidy and declutter. It wasn't that. It was the fact that I was going through problems. So if you find that you maybe you lack energy, you kind of don't feel like doing things, all right, of course, you know, we all don't feel like doing certain things sometimes when it requires a bit of an effort. But if that thing takes over you and it kind of controls you, and you don't like to do these things because it kind of drains your energy, then that's an issue, that's a problem. That's something that you need to kind of look at and think, well, why? Why is my house in this state? Why is my room in the state that it's in right now? Do you feel comfortable going into your house with the way that it is? So you have to kind of ask yourself this question. If you see that, you know, even when you get help, maybe you get help to clean everything, and then a couple of weeks later it's back to the same way it was, because you don't have kind of like that, what can I say, that pleasure in keeping your house tidy and clutter-free and stuff like that. There could be deeper issues involved here. So it would be good to get that checked out. Have a think, see what you can change. Are there any unresolved issues going on, things from the past that are bothering you, that kind of take your attention, they drain your energy, they take up your time? See what it is and get that sorted out as soon as possible, because it really does affect your mental health. Well, everyone, we have reached the end of today's program, but if you have a story that you would like to share, do get in touch with us by emailing us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet or Instagram us @ChrissyBShow, or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. And if you'd like to know more about me and my mental health journey and how I recovered from all the issues that I was going through, you can visit my personal website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Till next time, bye-bye for now.